Good evening, welcome back to Slip Grip Simracing here on the YouTube channel. We are here for round 4 of the Clio Cup series. This evening we are racing at Knockhill, the very distinctive Scottish circuit. We're just on board, just following Joe Chalner at the moment. Yeah, Knockhill notorious for its touring car races. The biggest event of the year at that circuit, pretty much, apart from possibly the British Superbikes. But yeah, it's short, sharp, very quick, and very up and down hill as Joe takes all of the curb there, trying to take advantage through the chicane, as Matt Davis does an even better job of it in the background there. So yeah, the chicane is one of the biggest highlights of the circuit, really. Often you would see the cars two wheels over that section of the circuit, and it makes for some absolutely spectacular shots, certainly in the real life racing. We'll have a quick on board with Paul, shall we? So apologies, I don't know all of the corner names. I know coming down here is Duffer's Dip, so there's that right, left, and then a little dab of the brakes. Oh, they are down a gear in the Clio as well, so into the right-hander as we come up this hill, so it's blind onto this chicane. That's nice and neat from Paul actually over there. So I think Paul, maybe he's just looking for banker times at the minute as we come into the right-hander before the back straight now. That last right-hander, I seem to think, was always a particular overtaking spot of Matt Neal in the past. So you can see Paul is braking just after that patch of tarmac before the final hairpin. So the hairpin being one of the only real overtaking spots on this circuit. Sometimes guys will be able to get a run out of the final hairpin and might be able to get up alongside coming into turn 1. But the vast majority of the overtakes are either be in the hairpin, or possibly, if the guys get a bit of a scruffy run through the chicane up here, moving into the next right-hander. If someone gets a wheel in the gravel there, you might expect to see a car up alongside. So we'll just cut back to our TV cameras for now. And Paul Hayhoe currently in 3rd position, but I would expect him to improve upon that time. I believe he has been down at a low 57 as his personal best lap in the practice sessions we've had. So Tom Simpkins done well actually so far. So a 57.4 for him, which Tom is carrying a lot of ballast. You know, Paul improves there, puts himself in provisional pole position. 300s faster than Tom Simpkins so far. But yeah, Paul should be fairly light in terms of the ballast, etc. in his car. So Tom and Matt Johnston in particular are going to struggle this evening, you would expect, with the extra ballast. So there's Tom just crossing the line now. So he hasn't improved this time. Still trying to go it alone. Oh, Harrison sticks in a good time there. So Harrison's put himself up into 4th place. Did see Harrison has been on the server in the last few days, getting that practice in. It's paying off at the moment. He's put himself right up in the mix there. I think it'd be interesting to see what the field spread's going to be like tonight. Oh, as Tom gets it wrong on the exit there and into the gravel. As normally Knockhill, you would expect the times to be very close, with it being a short lap, less than a minute lap. But probably due to the technical nature of the circuit, might not always be the case. So we're doing, we're looking for grid size. So we're up to 16 drivers this week, that looks like. Yeah, myself and Niels Brewer's come back in the safety car. Can't see it in the pits just as Matt Davis leaves there. So yeah, Niels has jumped in to do our safety car again. So we thank him for that. And Hopefully he's not needed, but we'll have to wait and see. I also we've changed server providers around a little bit, and I have got a bit of a live map, so I'm hoping if there's 3 cars off at a particular point, I might have a bit more of a chance to be able to see it rather than having to scramble around with the cameras on the stream to find out an incident. But yeah, we'll have to see how that pans out. So at the moment, I'm just going to have a look. Yeah, we've got the controls there. So yeah, we're currently just following Ross Park around, just trying to keep an eye on who is doing what. I've kind of got a lot more information at my disposal. Unsafety car present, yeah. Evening Niels, thanks for jumping in again, mate. So I am actually able to see guys' sector times. So it's looking, well, it's showing Paul with the purple sector at the top, but then the current lap is also counting down. So we've got I've got orange, reds, purples, and greens. So what do you say? I would say a green will be a personal best sector, and then obviously your purple will be overall best. So we'll see if Paul's going to improve on his lap actually, because yes, he does. He goes to a 57.2, so that worked quite nicely actually, me looking at that table, whilst we see Ross bin it and will indeed go back to the pits. So let's jump on with another driver. Let's have a look at Colin Dunn, shall we? Yeah, so it was saying on the table that Paul had 2 purples and a green, so obviously improved overall. So that's another useful tool for me to have a look at. Gives me a chance to check out what the guys are doing, see if anyone is improving on the laps that they're doing, which at the moment I'm not seeing anything, and that's Andy Keithley getting well out of Colin's way there. Harrison watching the stream whilst having your tea. Get your priorities, certainly, Harrison. You've only dropped down to 6th so far, so you'll be alright. A lot further up than your dad anyway. Who else? Matt Johnston's set a personal fastest first sector, so I'm not sure where sector. He's just gone through sector 2, so that's another green for Matt Johnston. So he's not going to be challenging Paul Hayo at the moment, or as he just clips the gravel on the exit of the hairpin there. So no, and indeed he's bailed on that lap. So he did actually have 2. Oh no, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong person. It's switched across. So Matt Johnston did improve. He goes up into 3rd place. So even with touching the gravel there, he did improve his time, and he pushed himself up into 2nd place. And he's behind his main championship rival at the moment in Tom. And it's only a 10th, isn't it? Oh, I think Matt Johnston's bailed there. Yeah, he must have done. Yeah, there's cars off on the grass and in the gravel. So Matt's gone back to the pits. I saw Matt Davis was out on circuit. Where is he? Still not got a timing yet. So I wonder if Matt's been getting track cuts. Will it tell me on here? It says he's done 5 laps, but I'm presuming he's got track cuts, so it's not registered so far. We will keep an eye. So there goes Matt Davis across the line to start a fresh lap. Can he keep it on the circuit and get a valid lap time in? That's what we want to see. Matt normally one of the quicker drivers as well. That's someone definitely in the gravel there. Probably Andy Keithley. Oh no, that's... who is that? There's a blue car. Might be Alex Osborne in that car. But I'm just going to stick with Matt Davis for now. Certainly until he completes this lap. So he's got green sectors, which you would expect with him not having a time in yet. I think the sector times themselves look pretty handy. He should move himself up the grid quite a bit, I would suspect. Comes to the line. Certainly does. He moves himself up into 8th place. But I'm sure in the 3 minutes he's got left, he's going to want to improve on that by quite a considerable margin. This qualifying session flown by, really. Probably because I've got so much more to look at and play with now. So, oh, Dan Lewis has set a really quick time there. So Dan Lewis has pushed himself up onto the 2nd row of the grid. That car very, very sideways on the brakes there. You can see the rear end is loose. However, it might make the front sharp. So if he can keep control of the car, it should be fast and should get good turnings. Andy Keithley slides wide again and he's into the tyres. Trying to take too much speed through the chicane. Yeah, and that's cost him quite considerably. Alex Osborne just moving up to 7th there. So we've got 2 minutes 20 left of this session. We'll see is Dan Lewis improving. He improved in Sector 2. That was a personal best middle sector. Will it be quicker overall? No, it isn't this time. So he'll go round. He's going to have 3 laps left. Yeah, 3 laps left. Very sideways through turn 1 and down Duffer's Dip there. Just see who else is having a go. Matt Davis sets a fastest middle sector of the session. He's going to stick it down the inside of Ian Morton, who gives him plenty of room. It's good driving by Ian there. And Matt would have actually benefited from a bit of slipstream, you want to say, through that back end of the circuit, and he does push himself up, so he goes into 6th place. Yeah, not his personal best in the last sector, so he might have got a little bit distracted by Ian. I thought he might have been able to have taken advantage with a little bit of slipstream, but not the case. And being on the gravel this lap, he's not going to improve this time through, as well as him and Ian both completely jump the chicane that time through. And there's Craig doing the same thing in the background. So all the guys are trying to test that limit with the blind entrance chicane, and a few cars in a row not succeeding very well there, I must say. So who else out on 6? Let's have a look. Where's Tom? So Tom has got one of the Mini Eggs cars behind him. I'm guessing that's going to be Matt Cross. Yeah, because Harrison is still in the pits. So Tom is going to have one more go at it. Still not setting any personal bests at the moment. Everyone's pretty much stagnated. There's no one going faster as it stands. What can Tom do? Just following through. Taking nice and tidy line. Used all of the exit there. Just a slight touch on the exit, but yeah, it's not improving. He's not improving again, so it's not going to be a quicker lap for Tom. Paul Hayo's crossed the line to complete the session for himself. And Tom will complete the lap. He does improve slightly, so okay, maybe the timing thing isn't great for me, but saying it was no personal best sectors, but maybe just overall it's improved his time. So Tom does go second, and he'll be happy with that. He's in front of Matt Johnston, so yeah, it will change in the race, I'm sure. Joe playing about with the handbrake, I think, there, so he's not going to complete the lap, is he? Oh no, he might go and complete the lap for us so that we can all exit the server. So yeah, one thing that I'm going to have to just quickly have a look at. So it should yeah, with the new server settings that I've got, we have to exit the server in between each session, so it's a little bit more awkward than what we're used to, but it's something we'll get on top of, I'm sure. So we hopefully the server should be reset any second, and the guys will be able to go in straight into the race. So yeah, with the new server that we have, I'm able to set up the full race weekend in one go, so hopefully it should add everyone correct in terms of the entry lists for each race. So after race 1, I haven't got to do a mess about where I have to set the grid up myself, etc. The browser software itself should do it for me. Indeed, there is the server. So everyone should hopefully be joining back in, including ourselves, and then as soon as the screen is back up, I will flick the slide over and we'll get back to our game footage. Right, so everyone is starting to just line up on the grid. Let's get ourselves back across. Okay, we'll leave it on this camera set for now. Oh, I might have spoke too soon. Can you not join, Niels? Okay, right. No worries. I will do that again. It's supposed to have Niels as... sorry, it's supposed to put me as a spectator, so that's not worked out as I wanted, so we will stop that event for now. View. And we'll sort the entry list slightly, so apologies, I'm still finding my feet with this program a little bit, just trying to figure out exactly how everything works with it, so hopefully I can get sorted soon enough so that we don't have any issues in the future. So yeah, forgive me for one moment whilst I get on top of this. Where is... I need my Steam GUID, which is there. So we'll try that again, hopefully. Yeah, hopefully it should give me 2 slots for the safety car, which means that everyone can join. Oh, so why is there no... Ah, right, okay. Right, forgive me, I'll be back as soon as I can and get this sorted. Right, apologies about that. Hopefully we should all be working now. I'm just waiting for the server to load up. I should be able to get in the session with everyone. Am I on the grid? No, Niels is on the grid. Okay. Looks like we're sorted, so let's go back to our screen. Just hoping everyone pops up in the correct position as well, because the last thing I need is a load of guys moaning that they're not in their qualifying positions. So we appear to be okay so far. Everyone's working their way in. We've got Matt Cross is in. So we're missing a couple drivers, I think. There's Ian. One more driver. Who are we missing on the grid? It's one of the drivers somewhere. I can't figure out who it is at the moment. I thought there was one other driver anyway. But we've got a couple, well, probably just over a minute or so to spare before the start of this race. So yeah, this being race 1, 15 laps, and we will 15 laps. Race 2, Matt Davis, that's who was missing off the grid. Knew there was someone else. Right, so everyone is in and online, so that's good to see. Yeah, again, apologies for the issues that I just had. Yeah, trying to get used to the new server provider and the software that's on there. I think I know what the issue is, but anyway, we'll resolve that ready for next week, hopefully. So here we go then. The lights are coming on. They're very quick on the game one, but who will get the start? It's looking like quite an even start. Tom actually got a really good drive there. He's well alongside Paul as they come down to turn 1, and Paul going to force Tom wide. Tom tries to take the escape road, and he will feed his way back into second place. Everyone else looking like they've got through unscathed. Certainly Craig was very wide there. That was going to get a bit messy. And Matt Cross takes to the grass across the chicane. So yeah, the guys have done really well there actually on this first lap, and have all managed to find their way through without any collisions of any note. So yeah, excellent stuff to see. So it's great so far. Let's then concentrate on what the moves and shakers are. So, Dan Lewis has been hung out to dry. So I did see he'd lost a spot to Matt Johnston at the beginning of the race, and that has got considerably worse for him at the hairpin there, and he's dropped several places. Oh, there's Ross Parker, and there's Craig Fulton as well. So Ross Parker was on the grass, and they've gone to a safety car. So okay, not sure where that had been called. Certainly not something that I'd called up themselves. So if the guys might have shouted it themselves. Who is... So there's Andy Keithley at the back of the train. So I'll send a message out. So hopefully Niels will have seen that. Indeed he has, the lights have gone out. So Paul Ayo has got control of the pack now, so you can see Niels has broken away. And Paul just going to park it on the apex, is he? So yeah, he's just gone. Not messing about this time through. just getting straight on with it. So he's actually gained himself 4/10 over Tom. So it's a decent getaway for Paul there. And they go up onto two wheels to go down Duffer's Dip and into the right-hander here. So yeah, Paul with a clean, good getaway. Harrison is in the gravel. He's had a nightmare of a restart. So he's dropped way off the back of the pack, but he'll keep going because I would imagine he won't be the only one that's going to lose places. It looked like there was a couple cars that went quite wide at the chicane there and probably going to take to the gravel, so I would imagine he's going to be close to Mark Roddenberry. There was definitely another car as well that looked like was taking quite a lot of the curves over the chicane, so Dan Lewis has made himself back up to 5th place, so he did drop down to 6th after being 3rd on the grid. These guys have just spread a couple car lengths away from each other actually. Tom really aggressive there down Duffer's Dip. He was using all the curb and got on 2 wheels after being sideways. He's trying to keep with the pace of Paul Ayo, but he's going to struggle, I think. As I say, Paul is, I think, either on no ballast or very, very little of it. So he's expected to be quick this week whilst the drop scores even themselves out. But yeah, here comes Tom, deep and late on the brakes. Did he compromise his run through it? Not too much, it doesn't look like. So Matt Johnston not able to quite get on to terms with Tom. So it's 2/10 between all those cars, look, as you go through it. So all the guys are just starting to span out a little bit as Tom uses all the curbs again. He's certainly pushing it. He's in fact probably lost a little bit of time to Matt Johnston that time through, just for taking so much of that curb. Joe having a much stronger week this week so far as well. Joe certainly not been enjoying these Clios. Not that I don't think it's necessarily right to say he's not enjoying it, he just can't seem to get the most out of him. He was saying about it recently in a chat. Just touching the gravel, him and Matt Johnson on the exit there, going onto the back straight, so that will have allowed Dan to just creep in that little bit closer. Matt Davis now probably the closest on the grid this little battle, so as I say, it's surprisingly spreading out a little bit. So Ross Parker goes defensive and Matt Davis is going to try and hang it around the outside or make the switch back. He can't quite do either of those, so he's going to have to keep working hard, keep the pressure on Ross Parker, who we know is good at sustaining that pressure and just maintaining his lines. He's certainly not an easy person to pass, and that certainly won't help Matt Davis out, clipping the gravel on the exit there. So it's compromised him coming into the right-hander. It looked like he got a good exit there. He's going to get a little bit of slipstream benefit. So as they come down to the hairpin, is he going to try and go right round? No, he's looking at the switchback, I think, there. So Ross will go wide and take the natural line, but Matt Davis gets a slingshot by taking that wide entrance and cutting back. Got on the power really early, and he's already a quarter of the way past Ross Parker there on our camera, and he should have this move done. Ross almost into the back. There may have been a tiny bit of contact there, just unsettled Matt Davis, and Ross backs out of it, leaves him room on the exit. So it's a good move by Matt Davis in the end to get that done. And there's Alex Osborne now looking, former teammates Alex Osborne and Ross Parker. Ross certainly not giving up on that position for 6th yet. I think Matt will start to stretch his legs a little bit as Matt Cross ends up in the gravel there. That's Craig that was alongside him in the awful livery of the Hot Fuzz car, which he is using to promote for our Young Lives versus Cancer race, the 12-hour we're doing on 1st of May. But yeah, Not going to say it's anything but ugly, the scheme on that. Apologies, Craig, but yeah, it's the truth. So who else is nice and close? Andy Keithley is having a battle with Mark Roddenberry for 12th place. So not in this one, but the next race that would be your reverse grid pole position, but not for this, not for the end of this race. Moving into race 2, as everyone's taking a load of that chicane. Paul's just eats himself a comfortable lead there, but this battle for the final podium position is well on. It's 3/10 between Matt and Joe. That just creeping under with that little bit of slipstream. Joe shows him his nose early, just letting Matt know he's there. Surprised there's not been oh, there's the lights. I was going to say it's Joe. There's got to be a flash of light somewhere. He's just turned them on for now. It's not quite resorted to flashing them yet. The cars are getting very light over the crest of that hill. You see the back end of the car starts to squirm. There's a little wheel dropped into the grass and gravel there, and that really compromised through the chicane there, it looked as well. Although not really cost him too much momentum. It didn't look that good, to be honest, but certainly managed to maintain that gap too, Joe, so won't be too fussed about that. I think looking at the times as well up front, I think Tom did actually gain about a 10th or so on Paul, maybe the last lap. The gap down just a slight bit. Oh, as Matt Cross and Craig Fulton have had another coming together, it seems. Yeah, indeed, Tom was quite a bit quicker on that lap. He was a good 4/10, so Paul must have made a mistake or had a bit of a moment, because Tom was able to claw some of that advantage back, and these two still battling. Craig thinks the better of it and lets Matt cross through eventually. I think Ian's had a bit of a mare as well. Unfortunately, he's just coming out of the gravel in the background, but he's still going at the minute, so good to see him there. Still points for 16th as it stands. And Joe has dropped right off the back of Matt Johnston, so as we move our cameras about, sod's law that something happens on the one that I was looking at. So unfortunately Joe's dropped off the back, and he was having a little bit of a squabble with Dan Lewis there, so not quite sure what happened, but Joe's got a lot of work to do again with only what, we got 4 laps remaining. So let's have a look at this battle for 7th place. Alex Osborne still trying to find a way past Ross Parker. Although looking at it at the moment, I think Ross is holding his own. Well, that was definitely a car in the gravel again, you heard it. And that's Dan Lewis. So Dan Lewis has lost an awful lot of time there. He's lost position to Matt Davis, because he was tucked up behind Joe, and that's not going to help him as well. Ross might have a good run here. There was definitely tyres in the gravel, and yes, Dan is going to defend. He goes to the inside, starts to sweep back across the circuit, but does leave enough room for Ross. Ross just tries to carry the momentum around the outside, so he's not able to do anything on this lap. I did see Ozzy had followed Dan Lewis into the gravel a little bit there as well, so Ross had that luxury of being able to pick whatever line he wanted and not have to worry about being attacked by Ozzy. Again, the gap to the leaders. Tom is closing this gap down, so whatever he's been doing in the last few laps, it's certainly working, because he's gained a good half a second here. That is deep on the brakes, but he gets it stopped and turned. We'll just have a quick check of the lap times again. He's probably lost a little bit of time actually by taking that route. He's still 2/10 quicker overall on the laps. So Tom, he's inching his way closer to Paul, but I think it's still going to be a struggle for him to get onto terms with Paul again. He's got to get to that rear bumper, and then he's got to find a way past, and already we've got sort of 2.5 laps left. And in fact, Paul is actually starting to stretch that gap out again now, so... But clipping the gravel and grass isn't going to help him, so there goes a little bit of that advantage again. So Tom just going to keep that pressure on, keep it mounting as much as he can, just in case Paul is capable... Paul is... if I can get my words out. Just in case Paul does make a mistake. We have seen it's very easy to do in these cars. You go ever so slightly wide, you touch the gravel, and you lose bundles of time because you lose all your momentum onto the straight. So we're on the penultimate lap here. Just have a quick look from Paul's point of view. Not focused on him too much in this race. See, Matt Davis is getting closer to Joe Challoner as well, so we'll maybe have a look at that soon. Oh, in fact, that gap has just extended out again, just so I was going to go look, and in fact, Matt Davis has lost the position to Dan Lewis. Oh, there's contact! Dan Lewis is in the gravel. Both trying to make it through. Matt Davis ends up falling behind Dan Lewis there, so I think he may have... Oh, he hasn't backed out fully. No, he thinks the better of it this time through. There's a little nudge there on the apex, and if anything, that helped Dan Lewis out and give him that little bit of breathing space for the start-finish straight. So meanwhile, let's come back to our two leaders through this final lap. To go over the chicane. Tom very sideways through the exit there. And they've both cleanly pulled away from the rest of the group, and to see Matt Johnston 4.7 seconds from the front is certainly a surprise. We don't see him drop that much time to people normally, so yeah, these guys are on a really good pace, and this is going to be the first race victory for Paul Hayhoe. He comes across the line in front of Tom Simpkins. Just going to move my camera slightly. There's Matt Johnston taking that final podium position. Joe Challoner in 4th. Matt Davis does take 5th place from Dan Lewis, who finishes in front of Ross Parker, who holds on in front of Alex Osborne. Who else coming up? So we've got first of the Posper cars here with Colin Dunn. Oh, and the okay, that's my fault. I haven't left the race overtime long enough, but that is my haste to get the servers running again properly. So I will quickly get that sorted. And right, so bear with me for a minute or two and I will get the servers reset and we'll be underway again shortly.
Good afternoon. Good evening. I was, but then I started spending money. My bike parts, basically. Not motorbike parts. Push bike parts. It's going to cost me a fortune this month. Sorry, I'm playing a circle for now, though. Ciao.
Okay, we are back, so that should be our last server reset, which is good. I will quickly write a message to the guys. Oh, sign in. Yep, sign into the live map for me. Any more? So, we are getting ready for the second race of the evening, and we have on pole position from Tom Simpkins in front of Matt Johnston and Joe Challoner. So as they finished in race 1 is how they are starting race 2. I was just checking my car was actually in the pits then, which it is. So Niels will stay on the grid at the start of the race, and then he will move off the grid once everyone gets going. So yeah, we'll have probably just over a minute. Oh no, not even that. There we go. That's 10 seconds when the lights come up on the screen there. We're getting ready to go. Cameron Paul met a good start again. As Tom's alongside him. Oh, it was a much better start for Paul that time. You could see he reacted way before Tom, so they all file the way through. Keep an eye on everyone, so everyone making the way through. Let's just keep an eye. Oh, there's contact there. I think that's several cars. Yeah, that's going to be a safety car. Because we had multiple drivers there that have been involved. Ben Hanks, Dan Lewis, Matt Davis. Yeah, multiple drivers. And in all of that, Tom's actually made his way to the front. So apologies, Tom, that we haven't seen that on the stream, as I was trying to keep an eye on what was happening at the back of the grid. Hopefully they should just be racing to the line and should get picked up. Where is Niels? Is Niels there on the circuit? No. Yes he is. Yes he is, yeah. So the guys have stopped. Yeah, they were all racing to the line, which is what we want, so that's worked out nicely. Yeah, there was a bit of melee at the start there, so unfortunately Ben's at the back of the grid as it stands. So where is everyone? Is everyone back into the train yet? Not quite. There's Ian, Dan. Oh god, Matt Davis has got it wrong under the safety car, so everyone should make their way back. They're going through. Matt Davis is having a mare. I don't know what's going on with him. We'll keep going for another lap because I want to make sure everyone's sorted. Yeah, so I don't know what happened to Matt Davis there, but having some issues where it was sending him across the grass and that, but at least all the train is back together now, so we can concentrate on the race after this lap. and the guys haven't lost too much. It's a bit of a shame that I can't add race laps. It'd be good if, like in the touring cars, you could add some extra race laps to the race to make up for the safety car being out, but never mind. This is why we try to get everyone to slow up as much as possible, and then we can just get on with the race. Oh, there's been more chaos at the back. So what's happened there? So Ian, oh, and there's Matt Davis. So what are those guys been doing? Why are they? Okay. Well, we'll go in this lap. They've had, I don't know what they've been playing about at, but oh, Tom has absolutely gone. He's made the perfect restart here. So yeah, there goes Niels. He's off back into the pit lane, and Tom just has absolutely left Paul and the grid for dead. He's 1.7, nigh on 1.8 seconds in front. He could not have asked for a better restart at all. He's completely caught them napping, and that gives him a great advantage for the rest of this race now. He's already done well off of the first race, getting himself in front of Matt for that championship, and yet again he's now leading. He's got a car between himself and Paul, and oh, there's Joe trying to add. He's going to be in the gravel, and that's Ross. He's going to be all over him if he's not careful. He's going to take that defensive inside line. Ross is already passed by the looks of it. Joe will go late on the brakes. He's going to park it on the apex, I would suspect. And Ross tries to go around the outside. There's a little bit of contact, but nothing untoward there. And Joe does keep hold of that position, but yeah, he lost out majorly there. Evening, Ash. Thanks for tuning in, mate. With everyone else that's in, well, we got 3 viewers, so rolling tonight. Hello to anyone that's new. We've had a bit of a scruffy evening in terms of the servers and that, but hopefully we should be on top of it for the rest of the stream now, and we should just be able to concentrate on the action that's on the circuit. Oh, that's Matt Cross in the background, I believe, or Harrison. No, it might have been Harrison actually. Sorry, Matt, I'm doing you a disservice. Yeah, I think that was Harrison that was launching it over the chicane and got it completely wrong. And speaking of getting it wrong, Ross was in the gravel a little bit there, and Alex has tried to go around the outside, but it was too late on the brakes there, and Ross is able to get that position back. Can Colin get a run? Colin having the benefit of just being able to take his normal racing line there, but yeah, not quite close enough. But these guys forming a little train here. We've got the Challoner train, as we're going to call it. Just holding off the rest of this pack. The rest of the pack staying nice and close as it stands. They all file through that chicane. Everyone staying fairly well clear of the big red sausage curb on the inside there. Gap at the front. What's that? Still 1.3. So Tommy's lost a little bit of time, but not too much. We'll keep an eye on the overall lap times and see just where they're at. See if Paul is able to close that gap down. 57.7 to a 57.6. So yeah, a 10th in it. So I think. Oh, as they all go sort of 3 wide there. That was Colin and. Well, we've got Dan Lewis there. Oh, Andy Keithley's involved. So there's Colin. He's across the runoff and he's into the side of Andy Keithley. And he takes the 2 of them out. So Colin got it completely wrong there. Took the service road, came back on and hit Andy Keithley. And Andy, unfortunately, has lost several positions there. That's another car in the gravel. Definitely. Might have been Ben Hanks, that. Or possibly Mark Raddenbury. Oh, as Mark is up and in the gravel as well. Watch the rejoin, Mark. So that's Andy back up. into 13th, but he's lost several places from where he was. Matt Davis currently in 12th, would be your pole position man for race 3. He's got Ben Hanks in front of him. Ben Hanks will be desperate to cling on to where he is right now. I'm going to say the master of finishing one place outside of the reverse grid positions. He's got, what's he at? Sort of 8 laps in total to hold off, is that? At the moment, oh, it's someone else in the gravel there, I think. I think that was Harrison just clipping it. You could see the tyre marks. It's Ben, oh, everyone launching it through that chicane, and Andy going too far. And in the gravel, there's Mark Raddenbury in the gravel as well, so they're all trying desperately. Meanwhile, we're going to cut back to this battle. So it's just Ross Parker now, who's fallen away from Joe. I think Paul's has he had a slight mistake? I know Tom was a 10th quicker that lap. But that gap's just gone back up ever so slightly, so Tom managing that gap very well in this race. And again, there's a gap to Matt Johnston behind, as well as Ross is very, very sideways through the first right-hander, going down in Stuffer's Dip. He manages to collect the car before the right-hander though, and somehow still maintains the gap that he had. Looked like he got a pretty decent run through the chicane there, so Matt Cross not able to do anything at the minute. We've got Dan Lewis in behind Matt Cross, and Dan Lewis is going to go wide and lose all of his momentum. Alex should be able to get himself alongside here and through. Yes, he's already got that move done. He cuts across the nose of Dan Lewis before the braking zone. Dan Lewis looking for that inside line. He's got it done as it was a late lunge. Ozzy did leave just a little bit of space there. And they're going to go side by side. So's father and son behind them as well. We'll have a look at them as well as they go in. Craig staying in front of Harrison as it stands. And we'll just have a look. It's battle for 5th place. There's Ross again, going very wide. So is Alex. They all slide wide. Oh, Matt Davis, I think, was in the gravel just about again, but he's all over the back of Ben Hanks now. Ben Hanks in pretty good position actually where he is. He can actually afford to lose that position to Matt Davis and not have to worry about losing out on a reverse grid. Matt Davis is going to try and take it right round the outside, and Ben's going to leave him plenty of room and actually gets a decent drive off of the corner there. It looks like he should be able to maintain position. They're going to be side by side going into turn 1. Ben keeps it nice and tight, and Matt drives round the outside. Ben still not giving up. He's going to have a look at the outside and make a switch back as he certainly thinks about it. He's not quite able to do it. So Matt Davis goes up cleanly into 11th place, and that was a car in the gravel again. That's Alex Osborne. So I think he had just made a position up on Dan Lewis, and unfortunately he's dropped the car into the gravel at the exit of the chicane, which we've seen so many people doing this evening. And now he's under attack from Harrison. Harrison again, he's probably just going to try and drive it right round the outside, so he does. These guys are going to go for a battle right the way through to turn 1. Who is in front? So Alex Osborne just slightly in front. You've got to say he should be favoured going into this corner. Indeed he does. Harrison slots in behind. He thinks the better of it. Good drive in from both those guys. Will just cut back to Tom briefly, so he has stretched that advantage in a bit of a repeat of what we saw at race 1 actually, where as the race went on, Tom seemed to be able to maintain the pace he was at just that little bit better. And he has brought that gap up to over 2 seconds. So Tom having a really, really good run this evening. Certainly got that car working, even with the ballast on board. Yeah, only marginally slower than Paul that time round, but when I say marginally, it's 200ths of a second, so he's not going to be worried at all about that, as Ian, unfortunately, in the gravel there. Not the easiest track to be in on this evening, but he's still going, which is good to see. So whilst these guys continue round on their lap, we're just going to go and have a look at some more of the battles. So in fact, Matt Davis has just made a move up on Harrison Fulton as well. So after clearing Ben Hanks, Matt's been able to catch up to Harrison. And Ben's actually closing in as well. So, yeah, although not able to catch at the same rate as Harrison that used all that curb there, Ben has actually caught up to these guys as well. So they come down to the hairpin to complete lap 13. They're going to be starting their penultimate laps, these guys. The leader's already on that penultimate lap. And the gap has come down quite a few tenths actually over that lap. Whether Tom made a mistake or whether he's just being a little bit more cautious with his lines. As we saw, it's so easy for these guys to potentially just drop a wheel in the gravel. Just running over that chicane at in the middle after, at turn 4 or 5, whatever the chicane is at the top of the crest. With it being that blind entry, you take too much and you soon find yourself in that gravel on the left hand side on the exit. So 58.1 and a 58.1. So Tom able to match Paul that time as he starts his final lap. So he's got a comfortable distance here. He'll just be keeping it neat and tidy, not taking too much curbs onto the apex. I would imagine he's, yeah, nice and calm through the chicane. You can see Paul will close in probably. Indeed, he's gained a couple tenths there, but again, it's not going to worry Tom. He's taking it nice and conservative. And he will make his way. He's got one corner to go. He's just the hairpin. Get the car stopped and turned in. Nice and cool. And that will be a race victory for Tom Simpkins here in race 2 for Knockhill. It's fully deserved as well. It comes home ahead of Paul, so those guys switching positions from race 1. Matt Johnston with another third place on the podium in front of Joe Challoner. Let's have a look at the battles. So we've got Ross Parker, does hold on, finishes in 5th in front of Matt Cross and Dan Lewis. Craig Fulton's into 8th. Matt Davis has managed to work his way up to 9th place ahead of Alex Osborne. Harrison Fulton. Ben takes the reverse grid, pole position in 12th place. That's Colin coming home in the 13th place in front of Andy Keithley. There he goes, Andy Keithley with a flash of the lights as he crossed the line. Ian has retreated back to the pits. He's going to wait for the start of the final race, and here comes Mark Ranbury as well, the last of our runners. And that should be us for this race. And we'll wait for the server to tick over into race 3, which, as I say, will be a reverse grid of that top 12. And as we've seen in the races that we've had in so far through this series, our race 3s have been absolutely epic. So hopefully this one is more of the same. So we are, all the cars into the pits and then back out onto the grid, ready to start this final race. Let's go back to this camera set. Just forgive me for 1 second as well. I'm just going to turn my room light on because it's getting awfully dark in here. better. I can see what I'm doing now. So yeah, we got 3-minute wait time. That's already been eaten into. So just a quick plug really of what we're doing. So anyone that's watching for the first time this evening, good evening. Reset Andy. Why are we reset? Okay, we've got a message to reset. I'm just asking why. Oh, okay. We need to reset the session. Can I do a... So that's done. Oh, right, okay. We've got another mix-up. Of course we have. It's a night for it. So, yeah, we will be back in a minute just whilst I sort out the entry list and the servers. Right, there we go. Never rains, it pours, doesn't it? We're hopefully should all be back underway now. The servers have been a nightmare this evening, but can't complain. We've had a long period where everything has worked as we've wanted it to, so hopefully everyone should be on the grid properly now. Apparently Joe Chalner was out of position in that, so I think everyone appears to be in the right places as they're all joining the grid, so I will bring the game footage back up. Thank you to the 4 viewers that we have currently. Much appreciated. Please please subscribe and like the stream if you're enjoying what we're doing so far, although we are doing a lot of messing around for the most part, but not a lot I can do about that as it stands. Everyone is slowly filtering their way back into the server. You're going to have to be fairly quick about it. There is Ben Hanks, so Matt Davis has just jumped in. Ozzy, who are we missing? We're missing Ian. There's a couple drivers we're just waiting on. Only the 14 at the minute. We need another couple to get in on the act. There's Mark Ranbury. Who are we missing? Colin Dunn is missing. Is Colin gone? Doesn't appear to be in the chat, so I wonder whether he's racing or not, actually. Okay, well, we're going to have to run with what we've got, so those lights are coming on. So can Ben Hanks make a good start? We've seen him do it before in this series, and he does make a pretty good start. He's alongside Harrison. So we cut to this next camera set. We should see them all streaming into turn 1. And I was forgetting that Matt Davis is right near the front of this race, so he's going to have a real good opportunity at this. And indeed, he's already making his way past Harrison. There's a little bit of contact, and Matt Davis will go wide onto the grass, and that's Dan Lewis through. Oh, it's Ben Hanks. Oh, and that's Alex Osborne. He's off into the gravel. Looked like he got some contact and went sideways there, so Alex is going to be right off the back of this pack as everyone starts to stream and file their way through. So Ben Hanks, as it stands, has got a second gap on the Dan Lewis and Matt Davis, as Matt Davis is looking to try go round the outside. He might even try and switch back in the end, but not quite. It does look like he's got a good run though, as that was Craig in the gravel, I think, on the exit of the hairpin. Yeah, Matt Davis all over the back of Dan. We're all going to start to file the way through. We'll just see this big gaggle of cars led by Matt Cross, who's got Matt Johnston just behind him. So Matt Johnston will be happy actually at the minute. He's got Joe. Oh, as Tom goes right across the curbs and the grass. So Tom has been able to make up 3 places so far, and will be desperate to try and make some more up soon. Oh, that's Matt Cross's car that's in the gravel. And as Matt Johnston, Tom Simpkins and Joe are pushing each other as well. I was going to say Tom is going to be desperately trying to keep on the back of Matt Johnston as much as he can. If he can beat him in this race, he's certainly going to give it a go. And he'd love to do it, but really, if he can finish behind him, that would be a really good evening for him. That would be minimising his points loss in this race after gaining in those first 2. And he's looking for that outside line. And I think... Oh, and there's contact with Joe as they go down Duffers Dip. So Tom's going to be on the power as quick as he can and try and filter his way back onto the circuit. Oh, that's a poor rejoin from Tom. Thankfully, there was no one else coming, so he's going to be upset with that, I think. But Not making any comment. I'd need to see the replays to see exactly what happened in the end with that. Meanwhile, we will cut back to this leading group. So Dan Lewis has made his way past Ben Hanks and has managed to pull clear of him a little bit, but Ben doing a solid job so far, and he's got Matt Davis on the back of him. Oh, and that's Dan Lewis has gone to the pits. What's happened to Dan Lewis? He's back in the pits. So I wonder if he had a jump start. I can only think he's had a jump start and he hasn't taken his penalty, because he's now in the pits, and I would say his controls are locked as well. Andy Keithley's dropped out of the race as well, unfortunately. I can see Ian is parked in the pits as well, so I'm not sure what's happened with Ian as well. Jump start penalty. I thought that was the case. So yeah, Dan, silly really not to just take that. Guessing he just got it wrong. He probably thought he had another lap to be able to before he could take it, but no, that's it. That is going to be his race. Indeed, he's already getting laps. Here's Matt Davis, pulls out of the slipstream of Ben Hanks. Ben Hanks defends really well though. Matt Davis was squeezed up to that curb, was careful not to make that contact, and Ben left a car's width on the inside, but carried that momentum down Duffer's Dip, and he goes too hot through the chicane, and unfortunately that's going to drop him that position. He was fighting hard to keep it. Now he's just got to reset, refocus. He's got Ross Parker behind him now with Matt Johnston. If he can hold off Ross Parker, Matt Johnston's definitely going to have a look and try and capitalise on both of these guys. Oh, is Matt... Oh, there's a bit of contact from Ross on the exit there as he tried to get the power on. And Ben did touch the gravel a little bit. They're going to go 3 wide by the looks of it going into turn 1. Ben might actually be able to hold out on this. Yes, he does. So Ben does hold that position, and Matt Johnston makes his way through past Ross Parker. It looks like Joe Chalmers holding off Paul Hayo as well at the moment. So how much can Ben defend this position? He's all over that sausage curb. Matt Johnston already looking to attack. He's on the grass. He's not going to gain any ground doing that. Ben defending well so far on lap 6 as we are now. But Matt Johnston gets that good run down the back straight, and they're going to go into the hairpin, but Ben actually was a car length in front as Joe was late on the brakes there. You could see him. Evening Dave. Yeah, go on that. His teammate in the pros. In fact, I've not actually spoken up much about that this evening. I kind of lost track of the pros and the AMs, but yeah, Ben comfortably the top AM in this race from what I can see. In second place. I'm not sure who his rival will be actually. Possibly Craig? I think Craig would be the next AM car. So yeah, Ben got a comfortable lead over Craig actually. So doing his AM championship a world of good here, and he's done brilliantly in this race, to be fair to him. He's obviously dropped time to Matt Davis with all the defending he's having to do, but he has defended brilliantly in this race so far as Joe sends it down the inside of Ross Parker and gets that move done. And he's going to be looking to get back on terms with Matt Johnston as soon as possible. Matt Johnston desperate to make a move on Ben. Ross Parker's under threat from Paul Ayo as well now. He's trying to make his way through alongside Joe. Joe sideways down Duffer's Dip. Paul's going to get this move done. Certainly does. Ross will have a look at making the switch back, but there's not really room there. And if anything, all this defending and that Ben has been doing has really benefited his team, as Craig is in the gravel, so that's another position for Tom trying to make his recovery. yeah, if Ben can keep holding up Matt Johnston here, he's doing Paul a massive, massive favour. Because it keeps him close and in contention. There's Matt trying to make that move down the inside. Ben's going to try and hang it around the outside. But isn't able to quite keep the momentum going. So that looks like it's going to be job done for Matt Johnston there. It is Paul. He's on the outside of Joe Challoner. As they're going to look to go into turn one. Paul is going to go right round the outside and he keeps the momentum. Joe gets it wrong. He's sideways. He's going to have to try and get past Ross again. Yeah, I was going to say he's going to have to back out that move. And I do wonder if there'll be a tactical switch here. Because Paul has been the faster car than Matt Johnston this evening. And that is Ben's teammate that he has got behind him in the pros. Ben knows he's the top arm. He will be after a good result himself, but he's certainly not going to fight this too hard. And I think he might just let him through. He has. He's stayed wide there. He's stayed wide. It's gone a little bit too wide, if anything, Ben. I hope that's not cost him. Oh, there's a little bit of contact. That's unfortunate. I do think he's just tried to leave Paul room to go down the inside, and he's just left a bit too much room there. And it's cost him another couple positions, but he was doing a brilliant team game there. Echoes of Checo Perez on that. So now Paul 1.2 behind Matt Johnston. There's not that many laps left in this race. There's Matt Johnston getting a bit of lag there, but Owen Ben in the gravel, so Tom's going to be right on him soon. Hopefully Ben can just regather, keep that momentum going. There's Tom all over the back of him. Where's Matt Davis gone? Yeah, he's just cleared off. With all the squabbling that's going on, he's not had a very good evening overall for his standards, but yeah, whilst everyone else has been duking and fighting it out, Matt Davis has managed to just absolutely clear off into the distance. So there we go. A lot of times Paul a tenth quicker just about than Matt Johnston, so not gaining too much ground as it stands, but we'll have to wait and see. Joe still fighting hard with Ross Parker. He's trying to get that move done for a second time in this race. Oh, as Ben is wide. He's going to be in the gravel. That's a shame. Come on, Ben. Get it back on the grid. On the circuit. Here comes Craig. He's going to go round the outside. Ben will have to give him room. He's going to go wide again, is he? Oh, Ben. Oh, and he's lost so much momentum and positions. That's such a shame. He's been having such a good race. Just defending for his life at times, but certainly maintaining a decent pace throughout it. So there goes Matt Davis. Clear of his field. He's actually a second a lap slower on that lap. Damn. Apparently jumped the start and didn't see the flag. Oh, damn. Yeah, the lights will go out, and then it normally gives you a warning at the top of the screen to tell you that you've only got so many laps to complete your jump start penalty. So it is a shame. It was looking like a good battle at the front there. So we'll just keep an eye. Now that's close at the minute. Matt Cross. There's a bit of a trade towards the back. Excuse me. Paul has got that gap under a second now, but we've only got the two. Starting lap 13 now, so they're going to have 3 laps to go. So he's definitely going to get on the tail of Matt Johnston. Whether he can actually get that move done remains to be seen. I see Tom is desperately trying to get to Ross Parker and that as well, and try and limit the damage that was done with the earlier incident. Scarp 6/10 at the minute, so Paul's still trying to just get onto the tail of him. Should be getting close to the slipstream effects of these cars. They do appear to have a little bit in them. Not vast amounts, but certainly seem to have a little bit available to him. Whether it's enough to help. It was a pretty poor lap from both of them actually that time round. A 59 flat and a 58.8 is certainly not mega pace. And especially when Tom has just set a 57.6. So Tom all over the back of Ross Parker now. It certainly is. On this, the penultimate lap. So Tom's going to be looking for a quick overtake if he can. In fact, I think he just give a little bit of a boost to Ross Parker there. Because he was so quick through the chicane. I kind of want to have a look at the battle at the back as well. There was a massive train behind these guys. So Tom, looking for the outside, he's going to stick round the outside as Ross will force him wide. And yeah, indeed, Tom does clip the gravel, which you would expect being put in that position. So yeah, big group of cars, including the two Mini Eggs cars there. And unfortunately, as always, I've missed the overtake for second place, so I'm really sorry, Paul, about that. On this last lap, he's actually managed to get that move done, which is really good for his championship as well, and I'm sure Tom will be thanking Paul for that. But we will come back to Matt Davis, who comes round to complete the lap, and he will take the race victory in this reverse grid race 3. Here we go then. as he spins it over the line. So yeah, Paul does manage to take that second place in front of Matt Johnston. That's a good result for him. On the podium in every race this evening. Matt Johnston, say third place. Another 3 third places for him tonight in front of Joe, Ross Parker, Tom Simpkins. That massive gaggle of cars there, all crossing the line together. So you got Alex Osborne, Matt Cross, Craig Fulton, Mark Ranbury, Harrison and Ben unfortunately finished in 12th after the earlier incidents. He was doing so well. Yeah, cheers Ash for that. So yeah, we'll just cut to our little intermission screen whilst we wait then. So yeah, as I say, if anyone is new that's watching, which I doubt it, but if you are, please subscribe. If you want to get involved, check out the Discords. We're very active in our Discord, and that's where we tend to post all of our racing schedules and what we're up to, etc. We will have a break this weekend actually. I believe it should just be the quali's on 6. Okay. Sorry, I was just looking at messages. I was going to say we're having a week's break from the Lamborghini Super Trofeos that we do on the Sunday at the moment. There's actually quite a few of us meeting up to go watch Matty Johnston do his first real life race. So yeah, there's going to be quite a few missing from the grid, and we've voted that we're going to delay that a week. So there won't be a Sunday race this week, but we will be back next Wednesday with round 5 of the Clios, and then we will have, I believe it will be the qualifying and the positive slip boys on the Saturday, the weekend after that. So yeah, we'll have qualifying for our charity race, which we've still got plenty of entrance spots available if anyone wants to come and challenge themselves with a 12-hour. Doing it in teams, obviously, on ACC, and it is the race for the greater good, as we're calling it. Hot Fuzz themed, 12 hours of Imola, and we are doing it to raise money for Young Lives versus Cancer. Again, all our links to the race, to the donation pages, etc. In Discord, and also there's some posts on Facebook about it as well, so go and check that out. We have links in the description of the streams for any donations if you fancy buying me a beer for doing this kind of stuff, or just to help with general server setup, etc. Obviously the running costs for doing that, it'd be greatly appreciated. Other than that, I'll bid everyone a good evening and thank you for tuning in. Hopefully next week will be a little bit smoother and not messing about with servers so much. And with that, bye for now.